Oh boy. So here I am. I've probably done about 2 of these things already. Didn't even know I wasn't even broadcasting. It's that kind of thing. This operator error is really something when you have to swallow your pride and admit it after the fact. So I'm doing that now. So let's start this this whole shindig with a little piece of info. If I could find it. Let's see. Can I find it? Maybe there's that one. Maybe there's that one. I'm looking. It's got to be there somewhere.
Mail-in voting sounds great, but did you know that if you vote by mail, your personal information will be part of a public database that will be used by police departments to track down old warrants and be used by credit card companies to collect outstanding debt?
Now, I wanted to play that. Actually, I'd love to play it again if I can get away with it. But basically what it was a telecall. We all hate them. With this female voice that was basically supported by this guy, Wall and Burkman, whom got called on it in Detroit to such a degree that they're literally up for some felonies for how, and they're willing to you to admit, yeah, we did it. We put out false information. We put into the minds of many of the people in this great country who believe in one side of the other to such a degree that it affected the vote, where a lot of people might think that, they're still in a vote or this, that, and the other. Your own people messed your own selves up by the misinformation and playing with the emotions to a lot of those people who really believe that they were going to make America great. But weak people fall for Greek game, and the game that they sold you were so weak that this race, while it was close, it wasn't that close. And trust and believe. This is no election like last, outside of the mere fact that, well, what stands out clear about this election compared to the last election is that for many of us who did vote for the person who won, now a lot of you feel like we felt. Now a lot of you are going to have to do like we did. You're going to have to realize that may the best candidate win. Well, that's what happened. Last election, we had to suck it up and believe that too. And that's all that's gotten us through this 4 years till now. And you're going to have to do the same as soon as possible. Now, what's going to be more uncomfortable for many of you of the left or the right or whichever you believe in is this issue that I just used this copy of this this telecommunicative thing that basically played with a lot of people's emotions. It gave wrong information. It made people believe don't vote in the mail because it's going to set you up. You're going to basically be on this data file for everything from COVID to taxes to past warrants to any form of morality. Gave you the fear of bejesus that they're going to be looking closer at you because they got your name and your number. And the theys are you. And a lot of you drank the Kool-Aid. And that's the reason why your candidate didn't win, because you drank too much of it. And here we are trying to get you to understand that that's okay. We understand that, you might be a little salty because your candidate didn't win. Hell, the problem that we got right now, more than anything, as Americans as a whole, is that our president that didn't win is even more salty than you are. And normally when he does this, he just decides, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to go bankrupt. And later for that. And lives are lost and jobs are lost and things like that are lost. But there's something different about this one and his attitude this time. Because these next 2.5 months can be more damaging to the people that supported the president that's in the office right now than it will be for many of us who just can't wait for this next man to please get here and try to fix some of the stuff that this guy has done. And a lot of that comes to what we have in this title. Weak people fall for weak game. We, the people of the United States of America, are fighting in between each other to such a degree that people believe that we're in need of a civil war right now between mano y mano. And you ain't ready for mano y mano because there's some manos you have never met before that are on a side that you're not ready to believe in as strong as they are. And they believe in it stronger because they, in many cases, have not been here that long or been here longer. And therefore, what we need to do right now is really take the hand of God and smack a whole lot of butts on their own. Just give it to them and let them do it on their own. You guys will do it in front of everybody. But understand something. You've been duped. You've been hoodwinked. You've been run astray. And you've been run amok. And now they're going after a lot of these people who have done this to a lot of you. A lot of these people, outside of the mere fact that your own president who just lost just did it to one of the main real ringleaders, this Rush Limbaugh person has got you all out there that invented the whole left and the right kind of mentality for the great whites. And yet I sit here with my tobacco stained fingers, willing to guarantee you that son of mama is up in his feelings just a little bit more than some of you other people, because technically speaking, if he survives to see the next doggone thing, then God bless him. But ain't gonna matter much right now anymore. It's the last doggone radio person you're gonna see like that, because, well, we're in this doggone conundrum right now. We've got too much mass media that are too bent on trying to get you to believe whatever they can get you to believe in. And weak people fall for weak game, but Americans have never been as weak as we have grown to be to this date. And God bless your souls, but there's so much ignorance already in Americans that coming this February, right after January, is Black History Week and Black History Month. And if you're not as well versed in why it's there, why it existed for so long in our federal establishment and our government, to a point where at a certain point in time before most of us were born, someone decided that we as a people need to have a whole month now for us to understand that as I come to you, any form of distaste, disgust, or discomfort and anything that comes out of my mouth is mostly due to the mere fact that you are unaware of the brilliance into which has made this country. 'Tis of thee so great in its first place, and we can't be as great as we believe y'all wanted to be with your red hats, just as much as everybody else who didn't have a red hat. All we had is black hats because black hats mattered. And yet here we are after the election with a salty president who at this point don't care about nobody but golfing and getting these last 2 doggone months out and getting away with as much as he possibly can without having to be concerned about how you people who voted for him feel, no more than we people who didn't vote for him are going to feel until we get somebody in here to fix what he's been breaking to the date, because, well, that's what he does. That's the kind of person he is business-wise. Now, we all knew that. We all know that. This man is not about his whole thing, but we as Americans can't let ourselves be stuck with his bill this time, because you cannot bankrupt your own country because your own country didn't have your back for another 4 years. And for a lot of you people out there who want to feel that you can get away with the same thing, you can't. You can't. When that man leaves this doggone office, he'll be forever protected as one of the founding fathers of whatever the next 200 years of this country will believe existed from what we've got today. And yet here we are, stuck, realizing that half of the stuck that we're in against each other is due to a lot of these other people who have made a whole lot of prestige, a lot of money, a lot of time. This is worse than religion. They've gotten you not just your mind, but they've gotten your vote. And now we've gotten to this point where some of you are going to have to realize that just because you believed in whatever they preach to you doesn't mean that that gives you the reason to stick to something while they're on their way, hopefully, to prison with a smile on their face. And they're not going to go into general lockdown with your cousin Bobby and them. It's not going to happen. And so please understand this. There's no Americans. There's no Americans any different than any other Americans all over the country, outside of the mere fact that they live better or worse due to their regional conundrums and cultures. And that's just fine. But I'm coming to you in the crib in the nation's capital to just express to you how I'm rooting for all of you out there for some strange reason, because you are what we exist for. And as a veteran, I've already basically volunteered to take one for the team, even though I've grown to realize that that same very team would rather, spit on me and make me Soylent Green than they'd even want to eat me afterwards. And well, we're not ready for that realization that anything, including this population control, will be more from ignorance than anything else, because you're not going to be able to wait out the possibilities of change when these waves of changes are so in a world perspective of importance right now. That until many of you out there take a moment and sit back and realize, wow, I really did fall for some of this fake news, because I believed, and there's a thing called fake news. Imagine 40, 50 years from ago, the word fake and the word news was an oxymoron. Now it's a reality. We've got to really understand that part of the blessings we have is the mere fact that we've existed longer than we should in our just general genetics. All the baby boomers should have been gone, and all of the Gen X's should have been retired, and all of the millennials should be in charge. And yet here we are with our oldest presidents trying to fix something that these young kids should be already in the helm fixing for us. with the respect and general respect that we still exist, and we would love to allow them to do so if they cared about us. But therein lies the other problem, because they don't care because we didn't care. And we have a lot to do with this. The more that you try to hate people that you think you are allowed to hate, the more that those people are allowed to hate you. And there's more of them growing than there is of you. Even your kids want to be a part of them instead of a part of you. And we're stuck in a whole new state of reconstruction. You know, I don't no longer believe that this 2-party, 2.5 party thing is going to work anymore. I think we really honestly need to start believing in being more active in our communities, you know, being more active in our politics and more active in our citizenship, you know, not just for our own personal beliefs, but for the existence and the reality of what America needs to be great as a whole. Because as we get old, all we can do is hope that whatever we're doing now from a positive state will put into the bank enough for us to have enough to take care of us, as we hope that we can live off the fruits of our loins. And we've had the last 150 years of some bad genetics to now be stuck with right now. And we're going to have to get past that. These millennials are ready for it, and we can't let it go because we don't want to be out there, but we're not out there. We're not in their game. And if we got up out of half of that and let them have it, it would probably be a lot better than we think it could possibly be if we let those misfits at the helm of it. And these misfits are going to have to understand that we really honestly, as older boomers and whatnot, are really struggling with a lot to such a degree that many of them have been weak, fallen for weak game. And these red hats made in China have become the fame for a certain ignorance that Carter G. Woodson spoke about, and just the miseducation of the Negro, because we have our own problems as people of color, because there's such a vast amount of us that everyone sees as just those people. And that in itself creates a conflict, because there are many of us that are more a part of you than they are a part of us as a financial structure, you know. So I don't really care about, you know, how some people feel about some people who went with the other candidate who didn't win, and, you know, and whatnot. I don't really care about all that. What I care about today is, how are we going to care about each other today? How are we going to get over our discomfort of who won and who lost, and try to remind our own commander-in-chief right now that this is not the time for you to take this, well, the least I can do, the best I can do is go bankrupt mentality, and make sure that they take care of everything. And don't be such a punk about the mere fact that, well, you know what? You had a good 4 years. You almost didn't have it. They could have got rid of you about 2.5 years ago, but you made it. Be happy with all of that. You get a library. Jesus, how many people that don't even read get a library? We'll have a new one, the 45 library. What will they talk about? What will his thing be? Everybody's had a theme. Every president that's been allowed to have their library or their institution after the fact. What was it about? You know, we had, you know, we know what the last couple of ones were, but what will the 45s be? Where is he in his head right now to start thinking about that for the next 2.5 months? And instead of, you know what, man, this is a doggone evil. I should be winning. I should this, that, and the other. If you were spending more time being a president than spending more time being a punk, then more people would probably have voted for you. And that's where we're at in this. And I don't think a lot of people who really wanted to believe in that guy understands that it's not them, it's him. And for that reason, weak people is not what America is. And if you believe yourself to be one, then stop being so voluntarily weak and ignorant and understand that we're in a whole different world. This is a war on ignorance right now. And we need each and every one of us, including my black ass too. So take it as it is, because, well, it's also Veterans Week. And today is also Marine Corps birthday. So Semper Fi to all my devil dogs out there, especially my Mumford Point Marines, because, well, this is something else you need to really honestly understand. And, well, if you're lucky, maybe somewhere in February, you'll learn about the contributions that all of us have made that's made us proud to be an Americans, regardless of the mere fact that half of your pride has just been the mere fact that it's location. But it's a whole different world now. Half of the people you think are just like you now have been from somewhere else, that have all moved in there from somewhere else. And while all these people are worried about being replaced, we've been replaced from the time that we first started. You want to be proud to be an American and understand that from the blood of Christmas Addicts himself, who was the first person to shed blood for this country, understand that we're weak right now. There's no left and no right. We're just Americans. And we done got so hip on trying to be a part of this high schoolism. MLK said, it's the drum major instinct, the desire to be first, the desire to lead the parade. Well, damn it, we've got lots of bands and lots of schools. That doesn't mean that you have to be the greatest of this, that, the other. Just be a good one. And get up off of this thing and dance like we can be better. Because once again, I bring up the mere fact that there's a artist named Pince, bless his little soul, who's probably sadistically looking down going, I bet you can't remember how we partied like it was 1999 and 2021. And yet here we are, trying to deal with the mere fact that part of us are trying not to gloat as much as everyone else expected to gloat against us. Had 45 one another 4 years. And for that reason, those people and ourselves have to now really concentrate on the mere fact that Mitch and, this Republican side of the Senate and all these things need to stop this thing too, because we're really stuck due to them. I mean, the past 12 years now have been stuck on a Dixiecrat kind of mentality of people who really don't care about either one of us, white, black, or Puerto Rican. Everybody's just a freaking nobody really up there, really, them old cats. It's all that we were numbers and this, that, and the other. Thank God we were biodegradable to them. And yet here we are now in the midst of this COVID thing, in the midst of this Black Lives Matter thing, and in the midst of this new 46 president. And, now an establishment that people of color, are just as much of a part of this country than just black folks. Now, understand that, because women now are, now becoming more prevalent, and yet we're still in this conflict. Just as much of a conflict that we're having with our politics is the same thing we're having with our romance, with our culture, with our religion, and where does it stop? How about today? How about you check yourself? How about you look at the man in the mirror and think, you don't have to be a Michael Jackson fan to take that trip into the bathroom and look in the man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror, and say to yourself, am I the best thing that America has, to help Americans become great again? Even if it means that I have to change a lot of things in my own little personal environment, and just to prepare them for the mere fact that we'll never go back to 1940s or 1900s or 1800s ever as a country. There's no real estate for it. And nobody else in the rest of the world wants you to. And for that reason, I hope that we can all be good to each other some kind of way. But first, we're going to have to really check ourselves, because weak people really do fall for weak game. And I'm really tired of watching a lot of international people call people like myself, Americans, involved with a lot of these weak Americans who right now want to think that we should be proud of them and how they act towards us. And with that, you good?